Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be talking through the books that I want to read in the month of September. Now, as always, there is a lot of fantasy on this list, but there's also a lot of sci-fi, so I'm going to have a very interesting month. Yeah, let's talk through what I'm going to read. One of the books that I'd really like to read in the month of September is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is set in a dystopian future where basically this group of people called the World Controllers basically have taken control of society and have created an idyllic society in their eyes. However, there is our main character who is not 100% happy and kind of wants to escape it and see what life would be like without all of these kind of measures that are in place and also these mind-altering drugs that they take and things like that. So it reminds me a little bit of 1984, but I don't know if it's going to be anything similar or something completely different. But I did watch the series of this and I really enjoyed it, which is what made me pick up the book. And I've heard a little bit of the audiobook, but I think we listened to one that wasn't very good because it sounded just ridiculous. The person that voiced it, I don't think did a very good job personally. So I'm excited to read this in my own mind without someone's crazy accents and weird character voices in the background. But yeah, I hope that I like this one. Sticking to the theme of dystopian societies, we've got The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, and this again is set in that kind of dystopian society, and it seems to be set on an island, and things can disappear and be completely wiped out of existence by the memory police, and people are supposed to just forget that, but we are following someone who doesn't forget, and what happens to them and I guess their family and friends and kind of their journey and the things that happen to them because of that. I don't know too much about this, but I did get this as a birthday present from my brother and he said that he really enjoyed it, so hopefully I do too. Now, there are a couple books on this list that I've put in here to kind of give me more of a wholesome feel and break up those more intense books like the two that I just showed you. And one of the ones that I would like to read is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And this is the second book in the series, so I did read the first one, which was just called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It's got the little blue bit at the top there. And I did really enjoy that. If this is the same kind of thing, it's going to be a couple of short stories all set in this one cafe where you can time travel. So you can go back to the past and you can see people that perhaps aren't alive anymore or that aren't in your life anymore. But you have to drink your cup of coffee before it goes cold, otherwise you are stuck in the past. So not a lot of people go through with it, they decide just not to even bother because there's lots of different rules. And you can't actually change the future by going back to the past in this. So it's kind of just a way for you to have closure with people and things that happened in your life. And I think that's why I liked it so much, the first one. So I'm interested to see what happens in this one. And I think it will just be a really wholesome, cozy, but possibly emotional read. Plus this has been on my shelf for ages, such a long time, so it's high time that I pick this up. And then we jump straight back into the heavy hitting things. So we've got Solaris by Stanislaw Lem. This is a science fiction book and basically we're following someone who arrives at a space station that is orbiting the planet Solaris, and the people that are left on this space station are kind of hallucinating and seeing things, and it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a mystery, maybe a bit of thriller and horror in there as well. Knowing me, I'll probably be frightened because I don't do very well with things that are mysterious. But it is a really short read. I'm hoping that it will focus a bit more on the characters as opposed to the science aspect. But either way, I have a feeling that I'm going to really enjoy this. It does seem like it's going to focus in a lot on the mind of the main character, and I really love it when books do that. Speaking of delving into the mind of our characters, I'm going to be reading something by my favourite author, and she loves to do that. She loves to really get inside the heads of her characters. So I'm going to be reading The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. I have loved every single book that I've ever read by this author, but I haven't read this one yet, and it seems to be the one that most people know. So basically we're following someone who goes to a planet where the people there are androgynous and they can become male or female at the peak of their sexual cycle. So I think it's going to be really interesting and a concept that I've never really heard of before. I have my fingers crossed that with most of Le Guin's books, the science aspect will be quite light and then it'll be more about the character development. It's a little bit thicker than the other ones that are on the list, but it's still quite a short read. I've heard so many people say amazing things about this, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it as well. We are down to the last two books that I'm going to try really hard to read this month. So the next one is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I've seen the film so many times, more than I can count, and I absolutely loved it. So basically this is a fantasy story and we're following a young man called Tristan, and he goes to capture a falling star for the person that he loves. But instead he gets sent on this absolutely wild adventure with loads of strange characters and creatures and loads of magic and fantasy. Again, quite a short book, but I feel like this is just going to be something that I really, really love and a possible new favourite book for me. So I really, really hope that I love this one. And the cover just looks great as well. And then I left the absolute biggest book till last. So this is the 4th book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. This one is A Feast for Crows. Now the editions I have, the 3rd book was actually split into 2 books. So this is technically the 5th one for me. And they've all been about this size, so I'm quite proud of myself for reading those this year. It's been really intense, but at the same time, the writing is so easy to get through that I haven't found it like a slog or a struggle or anything like that. Everything that's written in these books feels like it means something and that it needs to be there. And I really appreciated that, and I really like this author's writing as well. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with all of the characters, because the last book was just crazy. There were people dying everywhere, main characters that I did not expect to get into situations that they did. Even though I've seen the series, there was still some stuff that shocked me, and just the way it was written gave me goosebumps. So yeah, I am super excited to get to this, but it is absolutely massive, so I'm slightly scared. But yeah, those are the main books that I'm hoping to get to in the month of September. I don't have too much time compared to last month to read. I'm going to try really hard to set aside that time and get through these books. Anything else I do read will just be a good bonus. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what is on your TBR for this month. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!